my agent from ICM, Sylvia Gold, called and said, I'm having a script sent out to your house. I want you to read. From NBC, right?
Right.
My brain's getting
Yes,
fuzzy.
NBC.
From NBC. So, messenger came, pulled up at the driveway, came to the door, delivered the script. I took it out of the manila folder. I looked at it, and I said, oh. I mean, I looked at it in its, before I opened it. It said The Golden Girls. And there was something about the script, that is the handwriting, the kind of writing that they chose, not the script that you're reading. And I said, this is going to be a hit. I felt this is a winner. I can't wait to read it. So I read it, and I loved the role of Blanche. And I called my agent and told her so. She said, they're going to give that to Betty White. And so look at the role of Rose. And I said, but I can't play Rose. I've got to play Blanche. She said, well, you can either be in the series and play Rose, or you can forget it. You're not going to play Blanche, because they just about made up their minds to offer it to Betty White. I thought, well, how smart of them to consider me. So I went over, read for Rose, and Jay Sandrich said, I'm going to ask you to do something unorthodox. I know you haven't prepared the role of Blanche, but would you mind taking the script down the hall into an empty room and look at it and read it? Oh, I said, if you insist. So I did, and I came back, and of course, he loved what I did. I loved what I did. 2-3 days later, Betty White and I are called in together, and he says, I would like to hear you ladies read together, and Rue, would you read Blanche, and Betty, would you read Rose? And Betty said, Rose? First she'd heard of it. And she said, okay, I haven't looked at it, but I will. And her eyes went blank, just as Rose's stayed blank for the next 7 years. I always said you have little orphan Annie eyes. They're these two white ovals with nothing inside them. See straight through the head. And she did a beautiful, funny job. We're dismissed. Then I hear from Susan Harris on the phone. Will you please, Rue, do us a favor? Could you call Bea Arthur and see if you can influence her to come and play Dorothy? She keeps turning us down. So I called her. I said, why are you turning down the best script that's ever going to come across your desk as long as you live? And she said, Rue, I have no interest in playing Maud and Vivian meet Sue Ann Nivens. I said, that's not the way we're doing it, Bea. I'm going to play the Sue Ann Nivens vamp, and Betty's going to play the Vivian role. And she said, now that's very interesting. Next thing I know, they'd already hired Estelle. They had the four of us come in to read for the Suits at NBC, and we laid them low. And that's the way they cast it. I didn't have a handle on Rose. I didn't know how to play Rose. It would have been painful to have to go to work every day and play Rose. Elaine Stritch, I know, read for, well, they told us when I came in to read the first day for Jay Sandrich, they told me that this script had been shopped in New York, had been shopped in L.A., that they'd read every woman, every actress in the world, every English-speaking actress between the ages of something and something, and they just couldn't find their right combo, the right chemistry. But when they saw Estelle in Torch Song Trilogy on the stage in L.A. that very spring that they were casting, they hired her on the spot because she was perfect for Sophia. And I think that's one reason they wanted Bea, because Bea, Bea's 5'10", and Estelle wouldn't ever say her height, but considerably under 5 feet. I know Elaine Stritch was up for the part and sabotaged it herself. She sabotaged herself out of that role because she said to them in the reading, so she says in her one-woman show, and Stritch is a wonderful, strong actress, funny, said, I'm going to put some four-letter words in this reading. And they said, no, you're not. Don't. We don't want to judge you on a rewrite. We want to judge you on our script. But she put the four-letter words in anyway. Strong personality. None of us was like any of our characters. Well, people ask me if I was like Blanche Devereaux, if I am like Blanche Devereaux. And my standard answer is, Get serious. Just look at the facts. Blanche is a man-crazy, glamorous, extremely sexy and successful with men Southern belle from Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm not from Atlanta. No, we weren't like characters at all. Betty, probably the least of all. I would say Estelle was more like Sophia, although she wasn't at all pushy and vitriolic. Estelle was just funny. But she was Jewish New York funny. She kept saying, can't we make these characters Jewish? She would have felt so much more comfortable than trying to be Italian. Although, I mean, it worked. Bea was, I think, the straightest character, the least eccentric. But certainly her failure in life was very different from Bea's huge success in life. She's got a very funny take on people and quick-witted. Betty has nothing but brains.